And sometimes what people don't understand is that feelings have a momentum. If you're somebody that always feels like the victim, there's a certain pleasure in feeling more of like the victim because it's confirming your identity. Confirming who you are is there's a certain cathartic pleasure in the confirmation of who we are, even if it's negative. So if you believe that people are fucking shit and somebody scams you, yeah, the scamming is gonna hurt, but there's a part of you that finds pleasure in having your belief confirmed. And that pleasure is what keeps people in this type of like mindset where if they get played, they're gonna unconsciously look for more situations that's gonna get them played even more. Right? If there's somebody who have high self-esteem, they're gonna look for situation that will increase their self-esteem. But if you have low self-esteem, you're only gonna gravitate towards situations that confirm your negative self-image. And the hardest thing is,
like a boss.
honestly, this is one of the most annoying things that I faced when I was much younger, and that was, why is it that if you're not interested in me, why is it that you keep me around? Why is it that, like, for example, like you don't respond to my messages and yet you look at my stories, like that kind of stuff. You don't respond to my messages and yet you like my posts and stories. The issue with that people don't understand is that we have a misconception about people. A part of us, well, first of all, don't forget 50% off all of our courses using the coupon code MINDFUL, and 20% off all of my coaching calls using the coupon code MINDFUL, people. That opportunity is only available at the end by only this month only, okay? So you could purchase all of my courses, my new course, Emotional Mastery, and Charisma Blueprint, for example, okay? So click on the description down below, or I'm closing the channel. A part of us are in sort of disbelief that people can actually intentionally fuck with you. But that's the thing. People actually do that. Now, the problem is differentiating between those who are not really fucking with us and yet they're just ignorant about what they're doing versus those who are really messing with us. I'm gonna give you guys some explanations as to why and how to deal with it, because how you emotionally react to that type of behavior says a lot about you. And also it'll show you how you can grow as a person, because uncertainty is one of the most uncomfortable feelings we could have. Not knowing something and waiting in anticipation as to the results really causes humans to feel feelings and emotions that they can't control. And we like to control things. And when we cannot control our emotions, what do we tend to do? We gravitate towards controlling others, right? Now, why does this happen? Well, first of all, let's talk about the purpose of the self-image. The self-image that we have in our minds is who we call ourselves, all right? And sometimes what people don't understand is that feelings have a momentum. If you're somebody that always feels like the victim, there's a certain pleasure in feeling more of like the victim because it's confirming your identity. Confirming who you are is there's a certain cathartic pleasure in the confirmation of who we are, even if it's negative. So if you believe that people are fucking shit and somebody scams you, yeah, the scamming is gonna hurt, but there's a part of you that finds pleasure in having your belief confirmed.
Cathartic pleasure in negative experiences can be a perplexing phenomenon, but it is rooted in the way our brains are wired. When we experience negative emotions, such as anger or frustration, our brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This release of dopamine provides a temporary sense of relief and satisfaction, giving us a momentary feeling of catharsis. Furthermore, confirmation bias plays a significant role in this process. Confirmation bias is our tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring
Oh fuck, there's an earthquake, people. Holy shit. I'm gonna get down, 1 second.
or dismissing contradictory evidence. In the context of negative experiences, confirmation bias can lead us to actively seek out situations or interactions that validate our negative beliefs about the world, even if it ultimately harms us. This can be explained by the fact that our brains prefer consistency and predictability. When our negative beliefs are confirmed, it reinforces our worldview and gives us a sense of control and certainty.
And that pleasure is what keeps people in this type of like mindset where If they get played, they're gonna unconsciously look for more situations that's gonna get them played even more, right? If there's somebody who have high self-esteem, they're gonna look for situation that will increase their self-esteem. But if you have low self-esteem, you're only gonna gravitate towards situations that confirm your negative self-image. And the hardest thing is to see yourself in a different way, to go against how you continually feel, and to allow yourself to feel new emotions and new experiences. And even a lot of us are just addicted to being hurt because we're in that momentum of pain. That's why you call that when people go on binges, right? Well, binges have a momentum about them that make that negativity breeds more negativity. Negative self-image breeds more negative self-image, and going in the opposite direction where you're already in the momentum of negativity to start new is really difficult. It's possible, but it's difficult. So that's why people get stuck in those paths. Now, another reason why they keep you in their life, you to regulate their emotions. A lot of people use others to use them as self-esteem boost. Okay, and that's almost like the Matrix, where the Matrix uses humans to power the Matrix. Well, some people don't have the proper self-esteem, and so they use you as their source of self-esteem. They use you as their source of happiness. It's almost like a gesture, like a jester, where you jump and dance for my entertainment in that sort of way. So some people see, and the reason why they feel like they could do that is because you're sending signs that they could do that to you. You're confirming to them that you could be used as an object. And the reason why you're confirming that to them is because you're not willing to leave. Sometimes we want people to give us an answer, and sometimes, unfortunately, we're the ones that have to give them an answer. We're the ones that have to tell them what's going to happen next. But a lot of people are in relationships where they feel completely hopeless about their future. They feel like they have no hope, and that this hope that this person is offering is the only thing they have. And so that's why a lot of people tolerate the bullshit, because they don't feel like they have any other options. The other person observes that and takes advantage of it. And because of that, they'll use you as self-esteem. They'll use you as an almost like an object outside of themselves, like an outer object, like an extension of their hands. And unfortunately, you're gonna get used, and you're gonna resent that. What happens when you stay in those types of relationships for too long, you begin to hate the opposite sex. You begin to, because you feeling that feeling of injustice, the feeling that this person doesn't appreciate you, that you put so much in, but they don't give anything. That frustrating feeling to get some sort of consistency from them creates over time bitterness. And that bitterness seeps and through osmosis gets inside of you and completely embitters you towards the opposite sex. And that's all because you stayed in a relationship that was radioactive. Now, why do these people do that? Well, first of all, they never developed a strong self-image as children. Now, how is the self-image created? Well, first of all, from an early age, we rely on attention. A child that is not looked at would eventually die. People who are not acknowledged will eventually go crazy, pretty much. We are social animals. So because of that, because our lives depend on attention, we do everything for attention. That's why, think about social media, right? We crave for validation, but we can depend on others for this. So we learn to create a self-image that validates us from within. This helps us deal with our negative qualities and find ways to deal with them in a positive way. And the thing is, I think that's only available to us human beings, because I believe the self-image is created through your frontal cortex. In my opinion, when we feel down, like a thermostat that activates as soon as a certain temperature is reached, this self-image makes us feel good about ourselves and validates us. So we feel bad, and like a thermostat, it turns on and begins to release positive emotions and gives you different images of yourself that leads to feeling better about yourself. Well, what happens is that this self-image, unfortunately, some people never develop that from within. That's the issue. Some people are victims of having bad childhoods, or maybe something wrong with their brain or something, but some people just never developed it. But how is it developed? Well, it's developed as children. If our parents encouraged us to be independent, then our self-image takes root and slowly grows. unfortunately, people who don't have a good self-image, who have low self-esteem, some people might call them narcissists, don't have this in early development, so they never really have a realistic sense of self. Their parents have been narcissists themselves and never encouraged any freedom on their behalf. So with no self to retreat to, they are dependent on others for happiness and self-esteem. Because they don't have an ecosystem of good emotions, they will begin to use you as their happiness. Pretty much you turn to Africa. People would just take advantage of your resources. Pretty much people. Oh my fucking God, I cannot believe he said that. He fucking said that. But it's true, right? They'll use you as their source of validation. And what happens is that it's like when, you know how people say, treat this like it's yours? Well, unfortunately, they'll begin to treat you like a piece of shit. Like a monkey who has a new pet. If you observe monkeys having pets, you'll notice that they walk around them, they drag them around, they treat them like shit, they split them open because they think it's cute. But that's how people treat you when they are using you as their self-esteem.
The process of using others as objects for our own pleasures or gain involves dehumanization, which is the act of stripping individuals of their inherent humanity and reducing them to mere objects or commodities. This dehumanization process has profound effects on both the victim and the perpetrator. When a person dehumanizes others, it involves viewing them as less than human, often attributing negative stereotypes or characteristics that undermine their worth and dignity. This can lead to the justification of treating them with cruelty, indifference, or exploitation. By objectifying others, individuals detach themselves emotionally and morally from the consequences of their actions, enabling them to prioritize their own desires over the well-being of others. From a neurological perspective, studies have shown that when individuals engage in dehumanizing behaviors, specific brain regions are activated. The amygdala, associated with emotional processing and aggression, may be stimulated, leading to a desensitization towards the suffering of others. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for empathy and moral reasoning, may become less active, impairing the ability to recognize the humanity and dignity of others. An analogy for this dehumanization process could be likened to a garden where diverse flowers of different colors, shapes, and scents grow. Each flower represents a unique individual with their own thoughts, emotions, and experiences. However, when someone chooses to view these flowers merely as objects, plucking them from the ground without regard for their beauty or importance, they strip away the essence and intrinsic value of each flower. In doing so, the person diminishes the richness and diversity that once flourished in the garden, leaving behind a bleak landscape devoid of compassion and understanding.
And so what they do is that they know that you want them. And so whenever they feel down, whenever they feel played, because they also get played, I can promise you, this is what I learned in life, is that the person who I love that doesn't love me back has someone who they love who doesn't love them back, right? And so most likely that person also has someone who doesn't appreciate them. And so maybe that's why they're doing that to you as well, because it's been done to them. So when they feel down, when they want to date, when they want some attention from the opposite sex, they hit you up for that source of validation. In the meantime, until someone that they like comes around, and then you're kicked to the side of the road. That's why halfway lovers are toxic. People who only give you half of their love, half of their energy, stay away from those types of people, right? So the next thing is that they receive some benefit. They keep you around because you're giving them something. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, seriously. It's like with guys that drive women around who clearly don't love them, and clearly she knows you like them, and yet you still do a bunch of favors for them. I remember I had a girl and this is my dark side, people, who came to, every time she came to see me, she would do everything for me, people. And I didn't like her that much, but she was so willing to do things How am I gonna say no to such an angel? So for like a year or so, she would like give me her all, like literally like did everything for me. But I never said I wanted a relationship. And she resented the fact that I didn't want a relationship. She asked me why you kept me around and you didn't want nothing with me. And I even told her, hey, I told you I don't want a relationship. Unfortunately for her, the truth was is that I just didn't like her that much. It was during the pandemic. What the fuck was I gonna do, people? Was I gonna say no to that? Okay, I hear them. I hear people judging me right now. Whatever. Okay, whatever. But people don't say no. You never say no to a free meal, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my fucking god! I heard that. He's viewing them as a meal. What a fucking predator! Shut up, Melissa, feminist. So stop giving them benefits. Stop driving that chick around. Stop doing everything for that person. Because you just it looks pathetic when you're giving your all to someone and they're not giving you anything back in return. The next thing, this is a dark one, people. They secretly resent you. You remind them of someone. And sometimes you remind them in looks, you remind them in personality. But the point is that they want to bring you down. Sometimes people get heartbroken by an ex. And they get so resentful, they feel so much indignation that the next person they date that reminds them of the ex, they're going to play with them. And that happens a lot. If projection in the positive direction happens, projection in the negative direction also happens as well. They got close to you just to hurt you. They don't like you. You remind them of players. You remind them of this. You remind them of that. It's like guys, for example, women. It's like guys dating a girl and he realized that she's a good woman who stands on the streets every night, right? She finds that out. And now all of a sudden, he doesn't see you anymore. Now he sees the general cultural perception of women of the streets. So now there's an overlayer. There is a lens that's getting between you and that person. And some people have that lens on, where they've been traumatized, for example, or maybe you remind them of someone who they consider to be players. For example, Andrew Tate, right? Andrew Tate looks like the most stereotypical villain I've ever seen in my life. The dude looks like Lex Luthor. Why? He's indoors wearing shades. He's always bald, looking angry, sitting like fucking Lex Luthor. So when people listen to his message, and I'll be honest with you, people, his message is conservative. He's a Muslim, and I was raised Christian, and it's very conservative. So I understand his point of view. Nowadays, people are more liberal, so they view conservative values as almost misogynist, to be honest with you. But it really isn't. But anyways, but the thing with him is that he looks like a fucking villain. So no matter what he says, the public image that he has will cause people to project certain emotions onto him, where they can't stop seeing, where they stop seeing him and stop listening to the messaging. All they're seeing is their emotions embodified, their villain embodified in one person. So most likely you remind them of someone that they hate. Pretty much, maybe you remind them of their mother, who they hate and they want to get revenge on. Maybe you remind them of their dad, who they hate and they also want to get revenge on. But also, like I said, it goes in a positive direction, where sometimes you remind them of somebody they loved, of their parents that they loved, and all of a sudden there's a positive projection.
Projections, in the psychological sense, refer to the unconscious process of attributing our own thoughts, emotions, and characteristics onto others. It is like viewing the world through a prism of color or a filter that distorts our perception and influences our interactions with others. Just as a prism refracts light into a spectrum of colors, our projections can distort how we perceive people, causing us to see them through the lens of our own biases, prejudices, and preconceived notions. It's like wearing tinted glasses that color our view of others, making it difficult to see them as they truly are. These projections often stem from our own unresolved emotions, past experiences, and internal conflicts. They create a screen of emotions that overlays our interactions, leading to misunderstandings, judgment based on appearances, or even hatred towards certain individuals who remind us of someone else. Imagine meeting someone who resembles a person from your past who caused you pain. Without conscious awareness, your mind may project the negative emotions associated with that past experience onto the present individual, leading to prejudice or animosity towards them. It's as if your mind automatically applies a filter that distorts your perception, making it challenging to see them for who they truly are. These projections typically operate at an unconscious level, meaning we are not consciously aware that we are distorting our perceptions and judgments. They can influence our beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors without our conscious control. It takes self-reflection, introspection, and a willingness to challenge our assumptions to become aware of these projections and work towards more accurate and empathetic understandings of others. By recognizing and acknowledging our own projections, we can begin to dismantle the subconscious filters that taint our perceptions. This process allows us to approach others with greater openness, curiosity, and compassion, fostering more genuine connections and reducing the impact of unconscious bias on our relationships.
And those things, you know what projection is happening when they're treating you unfairly. When it's like, dude, like why are you overreacting to this? Why are you doing like overreactions and seeing things that are not there a lot of the times is a sign that somebody is projecting. A perfect example of that type of projection is when parents break up and the kid looks like the ex's partner, right? Let's just say the mom breaks up and the kid looks like the ex-husband. And so the mom will either hate the child because maybe the kid reminds them of the pain that the dad provided her, but also the mom might overly love the child as a way to reclaim that relationship that she lost with the partner, right? But a lot of the times you'll notice that the parent treats that kid either too unfairly or too good. And usually when there is like an exaggeration, like, yo, why is my mom just looking at me like just pissed off? And even people will say, they were like, yo, you just remind her of her previous husband. You look exactly like her. And I'll be honest with you, you sort of can't really blame them for it. You know what I'm saying? But, well, you could, all right? Because everyone is accountable for their own healing. But you see a lot of that where the kid just looks like their ex. And you're like, God damn, this motherfucker looks like that dude that I hate. Now, the next one is that they're using you to make their exes jealous. Like, people don't understand that sometimes people keep their exes, like I said before. People keep their exes just to make other people jealous. You can't let somebody use you as a pawn where they keep you around as a tool to triangulate you and triangulate their partner that they're seeing. But generally speaking, they just use that to boost their self-esteem, to see people fight for them, and to just revel in it. And people love that. Guys love seeing women fight for them. God have mercy. I'm like, I'll be the referee. I'm like, baby, don't get hurt. You too, baby. Because it satisfies the ego. It's fucked up, right? But it's the same thing with women, right? Like, they love seeing men fight for them because it flatters them. Oh my God, you fought the dragon for me? You came all the way here and fought that big dragon for me? Oh, thank you so much. You don't even have to do that. Now, the next one is that they are masochists. 1.3% of women are masochists. 2.3% of men are masochists. People who enjoy inflicting pain. Pretty much. And a lot of people, if you give them power, they'll use it for the worst. And in other words, if you make someone who's ugly good looking, some people are legit masochists, masochists inside, and they like hurting people. They like fucking with people. I knew a guy who would call girls and they will be crying for them, and the guy will be showing us her crying and he'll be laughing at her. And I'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Why? How is he getting pleasure out of a girl crying? Like, some people legit like seeing people suffer. And that's the hard part, especially if you have an idealistic point of view where a thought that somebody might be that somebody might be genuinely that crazy, it's hard to believe, but it is true, you know? And unfortunately, when you meet these types of people, you should always treat them the same. Leave them. Don't ask why. Asking why only prolongs the problem. Stop imagining that maybe you're gonna learn some trick, some spinneroonie, some double backflip, some monkey double backflips that will help you get them to like you more. No. Oh, don't accept halfway lovers. If they're not showing you complete love, complete commitment, not complete commitment, but goddamn some consistency. If they're not showing you any consistency, if they're not mirroring the energy that you're giving them, don't pursue that. You're only asking for lower self-esteem. You're only asking to get played more. You're only asking to feel more of what you're feeling. And sometimes what people don't understand is that feelings have a momentum. If you're somebody that always feels like the victim, there's a certain pleasure in feeling more of like the victim because it's confirming your identity. Confirming who you are is there's a certain cathartic pleasure in the confirmation of who we are, even if it's negative. So if you believe that people are fucking shit and somebody scams you, yeah, the scamming is gonna hurt, but there's a part of you that finds pleasure in having your belief confirmed. And that pleasure is what keeps people in this type of like mindset where if they get played, they're gonna unconsciously look for more situations that's gonna get them played even more, right? If there's somebody who have high self-esteem, they're gonna look for situation that will increase their self-esteem. But if you have low self-esteem, you're only gonna gravitate towards situations that confirm your negative self-image. And the hardest thing is starting something also, okay, I get it. But the hardest thing is stopping something midway. When something is already midway, when you have that momentum, it's almost like you're having sex and you stop mid-stroke. That's a fucking hard shit to do, people. Okay? You know that's one of the unwritten rules, ladies and gentlemen, right? So it's kind of like when you feel that bad feeling, a lot of the times we unconsciously want to create more of that situation, because it just confirms our beliefs. It's like, for example, it's like imagine that you think the United States is going to be a dictatorship, right? Even though that's a horrible thing for that to happen, when it does happen, you're going to have that "I told you so." That "I told you so," that feeling of having that belief confirmed, even if it negatively influences you, that's a good feeling. And a lot of us gravitate towards that, even though it hurts. So when people treat you bad and you keep going back, what's really going on is that you're just confirming your self-image. You're confirming your self-esteem. You're telling yourself you're right. Humans love to be right. Your unconscious loves to be right. So you're giving that to yourself. And that's why you keep returning to those situations. What needs to happen is a dramatic shift, right? It's a completely dramatic shift. A revolution in your mind through the act of intense meditation. You had an intense period of time of unconsciousness, of completely ruining your emotional life. So as a result, you need to balance it out and have an intense period of meditation. And that's why I always tell you guys, go to a Vipassana meditation retreat, people. Do that. That will be the best thing. I don't give a fuck about going to an ayahuasca retreat. Go ahead and do that after you do that. The 10-day meditation retreat will force you to look at yourself, to observe yourself, and to accept yourself. And I can promise you, you will come out of that meditation retreat with higher self-esteem, because all your body needs for you to do is spend time with itself. One-on-one, eyeball to eyeball, without blinking or looking away. All right? Or you could check out my course, Emotional Mastery, which I teach you guys how to do. Or read the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, right? Or, yeah, that's what I recommend you guys to do, man. Anyways, that's my video for you guys. Why people keep you around. They keep you around because they have low self-esteem. You benefit them in some other way. They resent your kind. And they're masochist people. I think that's the right word. Right? People who enjoy giving people pain. And people are narcissists. That's just how that works, people. Nobody with high self-esteem will use you. That's just how that works. They just can't. At least the guilt factor will click in. All right, take care. Bye-bye.